wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
Wars have been fought over oil. In a short matter of time, they will be fought over water.
Wow. Look at this.
We're back.
ManCon she happens, and then all of a sudden, ManCon 12
The ManCon-Eclipse.
completely changed.
The totality.
That we hit once we've achieved totality, now everything just looks different. Everything looks like it's taken an upgrade, a little step up.
Fucking proper podcast over here.
Yeah, we got the little. I mean, you can't see it right now where you're at, but I can. Got the little.
I can feel it though.
Yeah, you can feel. Yeah, you feel how much better it is now.
Oh yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It feels good. I can't wait to see how it looks.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be. It's exciting. I see you got a little something. Are you frozen in time up where you are? Are you still?
I hit equilibrium in the totality. So I which there's a lot of cool quirky stories that get told about the eclipse and what's gonna happen, what you can do.
Yeah.
But there is a small magical incantation that you can whisper into the air right at the right time, and then guess what? Frozen in space and time, but you're still able to interact with reality. So
I like that.
here I am at that perfect moment forever.
Ooh, that's exciting. Me, I just I didn't want to, but Intrusive Thoughts took over and did a little peek. A little peek right at the it's fine actually. I can see beyond the stars now, and I can view the golden path and all that lays before us. And
Nice.
Nothing wrong with that.
Is Taylor Swift gonna win the Super Bowl 3 times in a row, you think? Or at least do you know?
Well, she is necessary to build the perfect worm body that will help create a better humanity. Yeah.
Nice. Well, good thing I downloaded all these gambling apps. It's pretty bored, stuck in time. Actually, I kind of regret it.
Finally.
But at least they gave me something to look forward to.
Yeah. Head on up to the is that the Windstar or whatever? I forget what's in Maryland. Whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, I can reach all casinos at once.
That's
here.
right.
So
yeah, you pretty much you're set up.
It's perks.
I like that. A lot of great conspiracies, honestly, of the eclipse.
Well, and like MTG, the recurring star of like the Republican nobodies, goes off of like it's gonna be this thing.
Yeah.
It's because Jesus is mad, and which I feel like it's.
I thought
it's kind of like
supposed to be pretty chill, but apparently.
I mean, historically, like, hey, God's mad at us is like the cliche, eclipse take, for just like human society in general. And we gotta get past it at some point. But also too, like when you have like the earthquake. Well, first of all, New York. Relax, okay? I'm just gonna say that.
Yourself.
New York City, relax.
Well,
But you got like the little earthquake in New York, an actual earthquake in Taiwan.
Well, okay. First of all, I think you're forgetting that she caused both of those with his earthquake gun. All right, that's first of all.
The technology.
The technology's there. And so, well, listen, I will give just the smallest of. I don't hate to do it because they are New Jersey, but I will give them the smallest defense here. The Appalachian Mountains. This is science. We've moved out of like silliness for a second. Appalachian Mountains are a lot older than most mountain ranges, especially the ones in California. They're like fucking 16 times as old or something like that. They're like, I think they're like 1.5 billion years old or something.
Yeah.
And so because of how dense the rock is,
it's called the mountain mama, not the mountain baby.
Yeah. So like because of the denseness of the rock formation, like the earthquake actually reverberates a lot further than than California, so they feel a lot more. They feel in a different way, you know. Earthquakes are going to be different everywhere, obviously, but California's all those new quakes, you know, those little baby budding mountains. So barely a million years old or 100 million years old, you know.
Honestly, I didn't feel it, so I'm not sure that it even happened. And like I really
that's the best measure to figure out whether or not things happen. Is like, hey, if I didn't see it, I don't
know. Skeptical.
You know
that Eric Adams would Eric Adams lie? Come on.
Man, come on. Actually, that's my favorite. You know, of all the people that were conspiracy heads and whatnot during the eclipse, I love the Eric Adams thing. You know, where he's standing there, and they were like, "Hey, you know, you're really quiet." And he's like, "Yeah, it's really powerful." Like, yeah, all right, yeah, cool, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, gotta take this moment in. You know,
gotta take it in.
Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this, you know?
Well, that's where, at least we should do. I didn't go anywhere. I, was outside, got a partial where I'm at.
Yeah.
Look down at the shadows, which this is a trick that I learned for this eclipse.
Yeah.
Was like the looking down and allowing the shadows to, play tricks a little bit.
As long as you don't stare directly at the shadows, they can't take your soul. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another trick. So Soul's already taken, right? They did. Shit. I stared right at them. Was like, oh
man, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Right, sorry. Yeah. Vacant.
All right.
Yeah. No, I voted for Hillary, so yeah. But
okay.
It was gone.
Yeah,
no,
already gone. I get it.
Did I? I actually don't know. I can't remember. But no, that it was pretty. It was pretty cool. I do actually hearing people talk about being in totality.
Yeah.
I do want to make an effort to see an eclipse in totality because it sounds like pretty wicked,
pretty crazy.
And,
yeah, it's a pretty crazy experience. Like,
which did you go? Like, did you go to?
No, I was right down the road, and down here in Richmond, and I think it's a cool experience, man. I'm not gonna count like. Even like 80, 85% or whatever is still crazy, but it's a completely different, thing. If you're like everything, just like you don't really realize how much even like 1% of the sun is.
Yeah.
Like once it's like closed though, like the last time I saw it was when I was like 10. So
yeah.
Probably never, until unless I make it to Spain or Alaska or something the next like decade or something, then maybe.
Yeah, because I think what is it, Spain in like 2026 or something like that,
yeah.
But I think 2044.
Yeah.
Which by current lifespan standards of the United States, possible.
Yeah, I should probably make it then. Yeah.
Where things are going,
not bad. It's not.
Could be a toss-up.
Maybe not going to be great, but I should be able to make it to that one.
Have some
ideas about it.
Drink water, wear your seatbelt. You got a good chance, I think.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Except for the seatbelt thing, sure.
Well, freedom isn't free. You got to take it.
Yeah.
By not wearing your seatbelt.
Yeah, I thought it was neat though. Like I don't know, like there's something about being awestruck by like the nature of the cosmos, and maybe that's just me doing mushrooms for years talking, but like it really does, take you into a place where you're like, damn, we are just like fucking tiny, man, and all this is happening. Like the Earth fits inside of like 100 Earths fit inside like one of those little fucking arcs that was coming off the sun when it was in totality. That's just, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Put some thing in perspective about the bullshit that we, engage
Well,
in.
and this is and that's what it's like. This is like this past weekend, a friend of mine was like, they got kids, that are, in elementary school. and I talk about the eclipse, and I tried to explain what a light year was.
Nice. No, like Buzz
And now
Lightyear?
like where the distance a beam of light travels
Yeah.
in a year, right?
Yeah.
But trying to explain that, it's like awe-inspiring of itself as you remind yourself
Yeah.
how far
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
Because it is insane. Like 1 light year is like very, very and it's a very insane. Like it's very, like it's just kind of like hard to conceive of that type of distance,
Yeah, man.
right?
Crazy.
And then to think there are things that are millions of those away from us.
Yeah.
And then it's just
Man.
like, God.
Yeah. No, it really, listen. Yeah. That's it. Like
Yeah.
that's my mind sometimes. I'm just like,
And that's where, who was it? Sagan, Carl Sagan,
Blue Dot
and
guy? Yeah, that fella,
yeah. Which, and that's like, I think for anyone that, like whether you're religious or not, talking about like just the cosmic power of the universe, right? If this is described in a poetic fashion, like it's the closest thing to prayer I think that I experience.
Sure.
Because it is that awe-inspiring. It is that like, whoa, and like,
No, I mean, I like
yeah,
honestly, there's a reason I like so like I obviously, I watch Star Trek because I agree with like the classless, moneyless future and all the things contained therein, but also just like I don't know, man. Space is like quite a not only aspirational thing, but just like it's a humbling like idea that they're just kind of like going out there and exploring and checking everything out.
yeah.
I don't know.
Which it does remind me, before we move on to that, when who was it? Shatner got taken up with Bezos,
Yeah.
and Shatner was like, "Oh my God, we need to take care of this Earth." Which like it's a similar thing, like with astronauts, I guess, where it's like they look down
Yeah.
and they're much less amazed with the vastness of space because what they realize is like it's mostly empty.
Yeah.
Like it's like once you get up there, we spend so much time like, oh my God, what are all the things that could be out there in space? But once you get up there, you realize, oh my, it's mostly nothing. And the most important things, now that I got a little bit closer to all the wonder, I really just want to give, my kid a hug, and I want to call my dad and say I'm sorry, like whatever the hell. Like you look down back at Earth and say and realize what's important. Not Jeff Bezos.
Not Jeff Bezos.
He was literally like
sure. Not that guy.
cracking champagne bottles into Shatner's face, like I did it.
You like this?
You like that Star Trek, boy?
Yeah.
But no, it is amazing, and that's where as much as it's like fractured and whatever, like our country is like the United States, the world in general, these are the types of things that I hope will instill some type of like sense of humanity in people, I like having some type of cultural moment that everybody can enjoy, kind of, it should be, this reinforcing thing of our collective humanity. But the election 2024 is coming up, so fuck that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, listen. I agree with you. I think it's just like I don't know. I had a lot of friends on the timeline that were just like talking about how they cried yesterday, and it's like, yeah, I mean, you're viewing something that you'll never, literally never see this again.
Yeah.
And it's like, this thing is kind of like instilled a, almost like, new and different knowledge upon you. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot to really contend with, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's wild.
Yeah, like life, existence, it's more than a 9 to 5, like this
Right.
it can get a little bit more complicated, with a little bit of existential dread sprinkled in,
Yeah. 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 So, anyways, stuff that's really
Speaking of existential dread, Trump
God damn, man.
talking
Yeah.
about abortions.
Yeah, man. I understand the gist, but I missed out a little bit of, how he broke it down the other day. Um
Oh,
I did
well,
see the Arizona stuff
coherent.
today, which we'll talk about, but no, go ahead. Tell me all about it.
He's, I mean, our big beautiful boy,
Yeah.
always coherent,
Yeah.
always on
Oh,
point.
oh, always. Yeah,
Um,
got it together all the time. Yeah.
which, and this is like a few different things. I think it's like basically the Republican Party, or at least some parts of the party, get it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of the top Republican women very much understand the abortion issue is not great.
Yeah.
um,
Not
how
looking
do you get out of
fantastic
it?
for them right
Right?
now.
Yeah, and this is not across the board. This is largely like the political, like the political machine. Women
Yeah.
within the political Republican machine, they get it. They have an understanding because they're looking at polling data.
Yes.
These are just political beasts, like the same in the DNC. They're looking at polls. They're looking how they can push messaging. How does that messaging reflect in the polls? And can we get a win? Right?
Yes.
And obviously, abortion, big loser. I think when we talked about it like last week with Florida,
Yeah.
with the putting it on the ballot, that can be kind of a flimsy thing where it can allow Republican women to have their cake and eat it too.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't have to vote for Biden or any Democrat because I can just vote for abortion and then vote Republican the rest of the ticket. When you get with Arizona, some of these pushing past into Trump. But with Trump, he's got to have a message for the country, right?
Correct. Yes.
And even though he's, obviously we have 50 different, elections, but he's having this thing for the country, and it is a states' rights. He's going to, I mean, like, he's going back to where the Republicans, stated they were for decades.
Yeah.
It's a states' rights, states' rights.
Hey, listen.
As soon as Roe
I
goes
want
away,
kids to have one too, but
yeah, yeah. So, it's largely a states' rights thing. For me, like there are always like these undertone messages to like the violent like faction of like we must win, but that's also a thing of like, hey, we have to find a through line with abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck getting, the most vehement pro
The most batshit fucking insane.
Yeah. Like pro forced
people
birth.
That were literally, doom seeing about the eclipse that we just talked about.
Yeah. Getting them.
Dragon will swallow the sun. You don't understand. Those people.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think, and that's where I think you can largely ignore them. As long as you get their leadership, as long as you still have a connection to the pastors and they're still delivering the message. Yeah. He's an imperfect vessel, but Trump's God's guy.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's not for you to complain, right? If they can still replay that,
calm it down, all right? You don't
exactly. Yeah, then I think that's largely what it is because it's. I mean, it's just. I mean, he's like the dogs that had caught the car, right? Yeah. But with that analogy, what I'm saying, like they're kind of multiple dogs, and one of the dogs is actually just like chewing on the bumper while it's still moving, and like but Trump, and like with every Republican message, a national message, especially on abortion, it's gonna be that incoherent. We're happy that it was taken away. It's a states' rights thing. We want it to be banned nationally, but constitutionally, and it's all a bunch of mealy mouth thing. It's never going to be good enough for the most, reactionary of the
Correct.
right wing, but
Those that are the most fucking bloodthirsty will never be safe.
yeah, it's a play for the suburban white women.
Yes, yes. Which, to the counter of that, a fucking Biden ad, man. Like, designed specifically for those same suburban white women.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that was exactly
Something
what that was. That was,
you
in white settlement fucking Texas,
yeah.
and you were going to vote for Trump? Well, I have
Yeah.
news for you of what happened to this lady that could have been your neighbor.
Yeah.
Like, it was really,
it's tough to watch, honestly.
I mean, I was making comparative analysis today, and it's very similar to the LBJ. Like, hey, listen, wouldn't it be cute if this little girl could grow up? Anyways, she got nuked because of Barry Goldwater.
Yeah.
It's just very like, oh yeah, no, this lady could have stood a chance of being a mother, but now, because of what Trump did, she'll never be able to know that. And it's like, God damn, man.
And I mean, and this is like, and
stuff like this makes you think Democrats want to win still,
that's where those, like, they know that they can play this card, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where those just like, this should have been, I mean, like, because like that's where too is like Barbara Lee.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after Roe versus Wade did Congresswoman Barbara Lee at that point feel like she had to explain that she had, what is a term called, like, back alley abortion, right? But she had a non-medically, non-medical center, doctor, whatever you say it, right? But she was not consulted with a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It was and it was at that point, right? Decades after she had gone through that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the failure with, I think, the Democrats largely over. Is like when they've been conceding the actual real violence, right? They have been conceding the trauma. They've been conceding the oppression that comes with not having access to this medical care.
Yes.
And that's where too, it's like across the board, as they've been stripping apart Roe versus Wade over time, there have been these stories, right?
Well, the place of the Democrats has been to be the mourners, right? Like, they are there to carry that sadness. They're there to carry, what you feel after these things have been lost, after these things have been, stripped away by conservatives. Theirs is not normally to be like, oh, and well, also, I mean, on a state level, sure, but like on a actual federal level, a lot of the Democratic apparatus is just to, continue to try to claw back little bits and pieces that have been taken away for the most part.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it's like, there's no way.
The main, like, kind of exceptions, but,
Well, and that's where it's like, if they're running these type of ads in the 90s, right, when they really should have started running these types of ads.
You imagine
there is
these ads? God damn.
When, like, is Joe Manchin the same Joe Manchin in 2020 and 2022 and 2024?
Yes.
If the Democratic Party has been running those ads, has been staking their claim on this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's a lot of even Joe Lieberman, like,
right, because like that's where
in the 90s, if you just kind of pushed him and said, hey, listen, like, this is it right now, all right?
Yeah. And that's where this is, like, I mean, where it is an absolutely tragic and horrific story that many people have gone through. But as far as a political ad, it is very, very powerful. It is very, very powerful. And I'd say there are two things that really kind of take the air out of it, right? And these are two things that are, like just like political junkies, that like stick out. Like, one, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the ad that has nothing as a solution. It has nothing as this is what we are doing now and or will do in order to solve for whatever, right?
No, it's
And
still very much like guy bad, guy did
exactly.
yeah.
It's still Trump bad, look what he did.
Yeah.
I won't do that, right?
Yeah.
But you're still not saying how do you stop people from falling into this, right?
Yeah.
Because the only solution that they have is untenable. You're not going to get 60 something votes,
Yeah.
it's like you're not going to swing the Senate.
Yeah, that's the
you
laughable
know.
thing from Biden. Like, well, give me more senators, give me this. It's like, brother, I don't like, and this is a thing that I just wish could be expressed to like voters writ large. Even if you maintain all of your seats, and then maybe like, what does a swing Senate seat look like? But let's say you try to like pull away +5s, maybe, right? You're still not getting anywhere close to halfway to 60 by the time Biden's out of office the second time.
Yeah.
Right? Like on 2028, like voting, you might cross the threshold of 55.
And is
Like,
anyone going to like,
what
like,
does this mean?
can we,
Well, just give me the votes.
do we have the votes to get rid of the filibuster?
Yeah, like if we got 50, that's it, brother. Get rid of the filibuster now. Why is
Right.
this sacrosanct?
Yeah.
When you're
and that's where the
talking
thing
about
is
something as important as
Yeah.
people's rights to choose to do what they can with their own bodies.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, hell, and this is where too, it's like, beyond the choosing for, of like, do you want to be a parent? Do you want to go through the very, very dangerous experience called pregnancy,
Yeah.
right? Instead of, beyond choosing, right? Because this is where, and especially what's extremely dangerous happened in Florida, Arizona Supreme Court is now, allowing, ban except for case of rape or danger to the mother or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's just a denial of healthcare procedure, right? Because like it's imagine like because these are because like you're getting to people who chose to have a baby,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is no longer the do I want to be a parent or not? This is, can you have access to life-saving healthcare or not?
Right.
And it's as if they just randomly choose a subsect of humans to say, under these specific conditions, you actually don't get chemo.
Right.
You're not allowed to get chemo.
Yeah, it's just
You have to go through you need to depend on the cops to prove that someone committed a crime against you, and all within the next 3 weeks, or you're going to die of cancer.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get chemo. Good luck.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And to the credit of Arizona, at least I believe the attorney general said he's not fucking prosecuting any of this. He was like,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
This
is nonsense. Arizona wasn't even a state when this law was enacted. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's no way. Like, what are you guys talking about? But still,
that's
there's countless other states that are trying to enact this right now. I mean, and we talk again about things like the IVF discussion as well, which, man, I think I watched Michael Knowles talking about it the other day, and what a fucking like psychopath, where he's just like, well, I think anybody that does IVF should be in jail, and I'm like, what? Have you ever talked to normal people in your life?
I mean, because and that's like, honestly though, it's like if you hold the position that the eggs are babies, right? If you hold the position of egg babies,
egg babies,
would you put babies in a freezer?
Yeah.
That would keep, would you put egg babies in a freezer?
Right.
Because like that's where it's just like you cannot hold two things. You can't have this is a human being and also they're locked in a freezer for with like thousands and thousands of other ones. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it on its face it makes it obvious that no, there is there's a delineation between the beginning of human life and human life, right? And this IVF situation, right? It should make it very obvious for the people who are kind of on the fence about that, right? But if you can keep human beings in a freezer, It's either you're just dealing with an embryo,
Yeah.
or, my actually beneficial choice is, Sylvester Stallone might crash through fighting Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
No, Wesley Snipes.
Wesley
I
Snipes.
got the wrong. I got
Okay, you're making a new
one.
movie. Yeah,
Wesley
all right.
Wesley Snipes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Every restaurant is Taco Bell. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
At that point,
yes.
hey,
The franchise
we're good.
wars.
But
I'm with you.
until we get to that point, it's just obvious. You cannot keep alive human beings in a freezer.
Yeah.
Period. Embryos are not human beings.
Yes.
This we could understand. This is the beginning of human life. But hello,
Yeah.
they're in a.
No, it's.
We got names.
I
Do they got names?
Right.
You name them?
It's just such a wild concept, for these like that to that level. They're like, no, everything, even single. Like, where does that end? I really have to understand for fundamentalists. Does that mean every single human cell, whatever we're working on in the lab, and when we start talking about like degenerative treatments and trying to figure out things for Parkinson's, like Alzheimer's, like. Are you going to start like going after people because they're using human cells and that? Like, what's the answer here, man? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's
What about
insane nonsense?
And then you got degenerative behavior like masturbation and the murder of millions every time you knuckle shuffle, right?
Yeah.
What about that?
Not coming to my house, all right? They're not taking my guns.
I defend life. No, and this is where it does kind of like boil down to like just the like a lot of like religious zealotry, but like just blatant misogyny, like controlling women, and because there's a whole mess of people who have no tie to religion that are like hell on board with people being women being barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen, and not allowing abortion is a major factor in this.
It's wild, man. And like I said, I think that's why there is like that Biden ad is very good at kind of cutting through that and getting to I saw a couple people in my chat asking the question, just like, well, who do you think this gets to people that don't vote for Biden already? And I'm like, I mean, honestly, yeah, I think even independents look at this and they're just like, oh fuck, that could be me.
Well, this is for Nikki Haley voters.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
This is completely for the the Nikki.
Again, this is to shore up the fucking suburbs. Yeah. The suburbs I don't think are tight as the Dems would like to have them right now.
No.
And this kind of starts putting that into line. This is absolutely for.
I do got to give a second thing. So the first thing, there's no actual like policy prescription. Yes. There's no solutions, embedded in it, because they don't have any solutions. Yes. The second thing that I just is at the end of this absolute gut-wrenching, traumatic ad.
Yeah.
And you're literally on the verge of tears because this lady, the last thing they're saying, this lady not only almost died, losing the child that her and her husband wanted.
Yeah.
And she potentially may never be able to have children again. Yeah. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like,
like
it's wild that I mean, obviously, that disclosure is part of it. Like, you gotta find.
I would say put it in the beginning of the ad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
find
it, man.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, a mirror of that Daisy ad. It is wild to hear like LBJ at the end of that ad. If you ever watched it, where it's just like, we can't let Barry Goldwater win. I'm LBJ, and I'm like, brother, you just nuked the kid.
I didn't nuke a kid. I just dreamt about it.
Yeah.
I had people act it out and film it. Okay, it's different.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah.
I just watch it every night before I go to sleep.
With every campaign season that passes, like I just look at campaign ads. I'm like, how the fuck? How does this exist? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazier than anything I'd see on like public access television.
And and that's where it's like I question if pharmaceutical ads are worse or if they're just more frequent. Because if there were campaign ads that you saw like every day year round, our country would have torn itself apart long ago if they would have been able to put if they would have been pushing more ads. But that's where it is kind of like I do think it is like kind of like a small thing, but I in some cases I think like the first thing like it matters way more actually having a policy solution that you are driving towards, because this is where they don't, like they're not really willing to do a lot on anything, and Trump bad, which obviously he is, but like you need, what are people voting for you for, not voting against the other guy, but then, yeah. The tagline at the end, like, I mean, like, honestly, like, legally, there just has to be another, like, phrase you can say. I'm Joe Biden, and this message is something that I had to fucking say at the end of a heart-wrenching commercial. Like,
Man,
it's just
crazy,
like,
huh? Yeah.
yeah.
Think about that for a minute. Talk to you guys later.
Shit's wild. I'm Joe Biden. Corn pop. But I don't know, right? Like, I'd say even put the tagline in the beginning, right?
Sorry,
So that
watch
like
that. Let's get you an ice cream, Slugger. I'm
exactly, yeah. Because I've seen ones where they put it in the beginning and then they play that. I think that would have been better, or find some other verbiage on that because it's ass. It's very
crazy,
very jarring. If you're like still paying attention. But yeah.
Speaking of Joe Biden choosing things, making decisions, approving.
Mm-hmm.
He did it. He called Netanyahu.
Yeah, he told him to come to Jesus.
Yeah, had a discussion with him, and all of a sudden, so many things are possible that I was told by Will Stancil and all these other fucking policy freaks that
can be done.
Just they're not allowed to do because they're small little beans. All these things. Water was cut back on in northern Gaza. 400 plus aid trucks are now going in every day. Like, it's just so crazy that like these things are possible in the world. Actually,
this is kind of like it's like having a cake and eating your tube of dog shit.
Yeah,
because like this proves the critics of Joe Biden completely correct on a multitude of things, and yeah, the people who were saying, well, what is Joe Biden gonna do? You look like idiots who didn't care about civilians getting absolutely slaughtered, right? That's you. Because you can't make a phone call. Within hours, they're announcing changes. Yes. But here's the problem. The changes that they're demanding are bullshit. Sure. It's just not enough. No, it's not enough.
Like this is like bare minimum stuff that would have been, decent months ago. Like now in month 6.
And that's where if this is it's all kind of on the basis of they killed aid organization workers, right?
Yes.
But this was the 216th aid organization worker. So all of the things you're saying now, all of the investigation, quote unquote, or like the overseeing or overlooking what they investigated, all of those things should have happened on first aid worker.
Yes.
Or at the very least, first aid worker that had completely coordinated their location and movement with the IDF. Because not the first time.
No. Not even close.
Not even close.
Oh man, like it's so crazy to think about, like, to be gaslit into like these ideas that just like, no, sorry, these things aren't possible. It's like, not only are they possible, but like we could have saved countless lives if like, any of this had been, kind of pushed earlier. If there was any humanity amongst like the fucking elite, like instead, again, it's just these fucking people that don't want to like lose their reservation to the only Michelin star restaurant in DC, Like they're just like, well, I don't want to make that guy mad. I don't want Jose Andres to be on my bad side. Like, that's crazy.
And that's like, honestly, I know there's a lot of people who are of the opinion that it is because there were Westerners, right?
Yes.
There was, I think, there was like British military veterans that were killed. A few, at least one Australian, one Canadian and U.S. dual citizen, and I think it's because it's Jose Andres, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think because that's where it's like Americans have died in this conflict.
Yes, absolutely.
Like Brits have died, Canadians have died, Icelanders have died, Russians have died, people have died, right? Like people from all over the world have already died, have already been killed in IDF strikes in this conflict.
Yeah.
But a friend of the president's friend,
yes,
they died.
Yeah.
Because this is where when they were the Biden had met with a few doctors, a few leaders from the Arab, Muslim, Palestinian community.
Yes.
Like they always say that, and like I've never know what the fuck that actually means.
Yeah.
But people that they deem worthy enough to come to the White House and talk to them.
Right.
But there was a few doctors that had worked in Gaza and then came back, and Joe Biden refused to look at the pictures that one of the doctors, and it was like
were from their
personal,
phones.
personal photos that they had taken. Like it would be, it's either like, hey, no, the NSA showed me already, thanks.
Yeah.
It's either that or you just don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's the.
And then one of the doctors walked out.
And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that story. It's fine.
Yeah,
Just dismissive fucking nonsense.
Exactly, and that's the thing is that with the phone call, it is all just coming up massively short. It is all still very much dismissive. And like we're talking the political realm of it because on the very like obvious and like main issue of like they're committing the worst crime human beings could conceive of, which is the crime of genocide. And we've got Germany being taken to the International Criminal Court or Court of Justice, excuse me.
Happy about that.
Over selling weapons.
Also, hey, how do you end up there more than once in that situation?
I know, right? Talk about I'd have some
at that point it'd be like, oh man,
God damn, got a little schnitzel on your face. Like, come on. But yeah, it's and that's the thing is I feel like you said that everybody's like, who knows what's gonna happen? But it's like you're seeing the unraveling of the semblance of whatever like international order, and it is like the United States, the one that tried to sew this cloth together, that is the one ripping it apart. Because you just, especially too with like the strike in the consulate, the famine, the aid trucks, and then you continually say, oh, they're not breaking any international humanitarian law. We haven't found that. What? Right. No, here's some F-16s and some more bombs. It's really gross. I at very least hope some people start, even getting more on board. Honestly,
like not that it changes her vote on like, denying like funding to UNRWA or anything, but even Elizabeth Warren and multiple others are coming up with that. I think this is going to be decided that it is indeed a genocide, and it just for Pelosi, that from a senator is fucking kind of crazy,
Pelosi signed onto a letter.
Fucking Pelosi, lady that like 3 months ago, not 3 or 4 months ago, was like, you guys are Chinese actors,
Yeah.
This lady is now like, I think we gotta stop selling weapons.
Yeah.
Like that's wild, man.
Yeah.
Like there is less and less allies for Biden to start turning to, and say, hey, no conditions whatsoever, except for one senator.
Well, there
is one guy I think that is very receptive. No conditions whatsoever. A freshman senator from Pennsylvania.
Just sweet sweet little progressive boy, John
I
Fetterman.
can't believe, man. I go back through my head. I'm like, would Dr. Oz have been better? Maybe, probably. Like, I guess at this point, I don't know.
Which on this issue, I
Yeah.
think it is very plausible, right?
No, I
On
mean,
this,
yeah, sure.
on this very specific issue, and like that's where it's like I have no idea what Doctor Oz has said, his opinion. I have no idea. I'm basing it off of the fact that he's Turkish,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just assuming, like, because you can't get worse, right?
I mean,
like that's where it's like, well, okay, so like the guy that got like that was wearing his IDF uniform,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Chris
guess like
Mass,
Doctor, yeah, like where it's like somewhere it's like Fetterman failed the IDF ASVAB, so like no, you just got to be a senator, all right? Join your boy Rittenhouse, all right? You can't never allowed to join,
God, man.
but that's the thing. It's like it is
You can't.
shocking to see
They don't
how
have an IDF hoodie fit, and that's the real problem.
Yeah.
You know, if they did, then he'd be in. But
yeah.
He gets
I mean,
too
they're
sad
making
to
one
get
like it was like actually like we made you your own hoodie out of stolen Palestinian clothes from
Listen,
Gaza.
they might. I don't listen. I don't understand the fervency that he like. It's crazy, man. Like yesterday on Twitter, he's like posting just a fucking rack of like dog tags and fucking. I'm like, what is happening with you, man? Like
Crazy,
what's
because and that's
on?
and like still it's like talking about like the UN needs to condemn Hamas because it's just like guy.
And
Guy.
undermining Biden after he said like the left needs to stop undermining Biden. You know, we need him to be strong in the face of Trump right now. And then turns around post phone call. He's like, well, I don't think there should be any conditions. Actually, I think Biden's not doing this one right. And it's like, hey man, what's going on?
Biden's anti-Semitic. Actually, I just found that out.
Joseph Robinette Biden, huh?
It's insane.
That guy.
Because that's where the
guy
thing
has
where
been
it's
on
like
Israel's side for decades. Like, who are you?
and he's still giving them everything they want.
Yeah,
like
outside
outside of perfect rhetoric, Biden's giving them everything they want.
Yes. Like, there's no, Biden's still not putting conditions. Like, I just don't know where he gets those things out of his head. Biden's not putting conditions to aid right now. UNRWA is still being defunded, Like, there's still no actual, like, U.S. effort to make sure that this aid is being distributed, like, efficiently.
Who's going to distribute it?
Right, like,
Who?
IDF
This is where
currently, it's the IDF, distributing it so they can punish people when they come get the food.
Yeah. We need some more faces to put in our AR program.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. So it's crazy. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, Biden's doing all the things. So I don't know what you could be mad at, Like, and it's not just, to be clear, it's not just Fetterman. Like, all of the, the Elon Levy's of the world, the Carolyn Glicks, like, all of them have been like, well, Hamas won a victory today. And it's like, motherfucker, man, these people just are getting more food. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all that's happening right now. There's nothing big or crazy. Like, there might be a little more food on people's plates tonight.
And it's just, because, and like, the thing is, too, where, like, what are the hostages eating?
Right,
do you care about the hostages?
God, man.
Because like that's where it's just like, because like the thing is and that's what like there's so many people who just say, oh well, they'll just like Israel will say these things, and they don't think about it at all, because if you cared about the hostages, right? If you cared about getting the hostages back, would you bomb 90% of the buildings?
Right.
In that region, like
sorry, but what we're gonna do is deplete all of their infrastructure, their medicine, their food. Oh, how do you think that's gonna play out for the people that they took like half a year ago? Like, what are you talking about, man?
And it is like it is just, and that like and that's where like, and this is obviously it's like plenty of academic verified historical data on the way the United or the Freudian slip, the way the Israeli the way the Israeli government
Yeah.
operates and how they consider hostages and all these things, but for people who keep saying, hey, we got to get the hostages back, like, you got to see, what I'm saying? Like, just think of any other scenario that hostages are involved,
Right.
like completely decimating the place and area that they are in, completely shutting them off from clean water and food. That's not how you get hostages.
Yeah.
And the only time in this, since October 7th, the only time there have been hostages exchanged is when there's been a ceasefire. Israel has killed more hostages than they have saved.
Yes, absolutely. Man, I don't know what it's gonna look like when this all shakes out, but I can't. I mean, I know what it's gonna look like for Israel. Like they will have committed a genocide on the Palestinian people. I just don't know like what it looks like for people, liberals over in America, how they view this in like 5-10 years. I should hope that they would view it with a very solemn, morose like tone and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened under our watch." But I don't know, I guess we're gonna find out.
I mean, well,
I think
when
I feel like the tide is changing. We listened to SNL this week with or maybe that was last week. With speaking about say the Palestinians. We've seen counter letter for support of Jonathan Glazer from multiple high profile actors. Like there's. I don't know. Seemingly, it seems like at least the entertainment side of things, and that's normally kind of the first ones to fall, if history's any guide, with Iraq, is once entertainment starts to kind of like blow the other way, we're kind of at a turning point.
Well, and this is where if they're not told, like, because I mean that's where like if there were, it does need to be a like kind of like a groundswell, because I remember like the Dixie Chicks getting shit on, and everybody else was just like
2003,
whoop, no, and but no, and that's like that's part of it, and that's the thing where it's like they don't care, like it's like I think as much as some of it is a play, it does play into it, the fact that, oh, hey, an American, they could have been all Americans, right? They could have been all Americans, but if they didn't, if what I'm saying, if they didn't get backstage passes to Hamilton, it doesn't matter.
Yep. And that's it. It's just like, what matters, us figuring out what matters the most to the elite, and it looks like at this point it's just like, well, if somebody I know was there. It's not literally, it's not literally doctors that are there performing like battlefield amputations, trying to resuscitate people that hit a critical point of like famine. It's just like, oh, my friend the chef that's cooked for me a couple of times, like he told me. And again, obviously, there's a lot of criticism be levied on Jose Andres for his past support of Israel. But kind of kudos to him for being like, "Fuck you, not good enough. I don't believe in that investigation. I think there needs to be an independent investigation immediately. I don't think you all have the ability to investigate yourselves." Like that's it. That's the switch. That's the turning point that some people need to hit, where they're like, "Wait a second.
And
you guys are not fucking good actors in this, like you are."
And that's the thing where, and this is not necessarily for like Jose Andres, like who cares about that guy? I do, and I think, as some, as a critique from someone from the outside looking in versus, a Palestinian, like Palestinians obviously have fair and good right, to critique literally every other person in this world over what's being allowed to be and happen. For me, as someone who's made a few mistakes, like joining the United States military. You know, I've made mistakes. I've had bad views, and I've learned. I've not always had this same view on this issue. I've always not been aware. And I think with Jose Andres, you know, he's kind of like a representation of kind of like a viewpoint on how people kind of see what's happening. And you know, because like it really, like at the end of the day, he did have his organization in there feeding people, and you know, not to say, oh well, he could say whatever he want, he could tweet, yo, kill them all, you know. No, that's messed up. But like we got to, you know, like, and it's not even about like fuck him, you know, who cares? He's gonna be fine with his millions of dollars that he gets to cry into, you know, then eat the best food that in the world. But you know, this is the type of thing that I think, you know, we all go through as we learn more about our country. If you're an American, and how do we, you know, and I have an understanding too of like, I think now with Jose Andres, with his potential, with his connection to power, and now with his understanding of the conflict, you know, today I put a lot of responsibility on what Jose Andres does with his understanding and his connections, you know, because now there's no excuse for him. Right. So that the thing where is too, where the power, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of bad opinions, and they may vote, but they don't really have power in this scenario. And kind of just having an understanding of like, yell, scream, whatever, but understand that these people are not the people who are doing this. You know, they may give like, you know, some type of rhetorical support, but there is a difference of like, hey, they had a bad opinion on something that I think a lot of people do because of propaganda, because of the lack of true media. You know, there's a lot of things that go into it, and understanding how the people get to these wrong opinions, right? But allowing people some grace to learn, but then also, what is your responsibility? What are the powers that you have? And then like, hey, you know, if like, especially now for Jose Andres, you got to do something, brother.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you got to do something. If you actually cared about your friend that got assassinated, that was targeted and assassinated, you got to keep the pressure on.
Yeah.
Because like, if they're allowed to get away with this, like, what aid worker is ever safe?
Correct. Like, there has to, you know, and that's what I said. Like, you know, I hope from his current actions so far, it looks like he's gonna continue trying to press, saying, "Hey, listen, there needs to be investigations into this. We can't let them investigate themselves. There has to be unaffiliated parties that are jumping in here and seeing what they're doing, because this is not enough." And that's it. Like, we need, you know, there needs to be people that have, you know, been a part of this, just saying, no, this has to be fixed. This has to be changed.
Yeah.
They can't just be allowed to act as if, like, you know, they've got everyone's best interests in heart, because, you know, fact of the matter is they don't.
And I think I was kind of actually shocked at like the way he was just saying, like, no, we were targeted, you know. He like, they straight up targeted us. I was like, oh, like, he's saying it. He's saying it.
He's doing the thing.
And he needs to keep saying it. They need to keep saying invest it, like, and the thing is where too, it's like, right now the State Department is reviewing the Israeli investigation over the strike. And, you know, and like, that's where like Jose Andres needs to be the voice of all the other aid workers, all the other journalists. Where's the investigation of that? Where's the United States overlooking of those investigations? And why don't you care?
Cool, man. Start asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go. There's and that's just what I see, right? People close to the elites, you're the only ones they listen to. You're the only one that could get Joe Biden to even pick up the phone and say, please.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what, and then you got big dumb asshole John Fetterman saying
God,
we need because he's just pathetic, man. It's pathetic.
What a weird fucking freak, man.
Yeah.
What are your closing thoughts, Marcus? I've got one written down. I was something passed across my desk. My closing thought has something to do with stretch credulity. I don't know what that means, but
Stretch.
I still have to pass it along to you. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, all right, good. As long as you
Be
know what it
lying
means.
liars. Yeah. 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 No.
Okay.
No.
All right, good.
You know, like, just say we're not friends. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I was just told this was. I don't know what it means.
Just say you don't
This is
like me.
the Da Vinci Code for me. I'm reading. Okay, all right. And then Psalms 21. Like I don't know what it means.
Oh my god. I am looking forward to a world
Yeah.
into where people talking about the United States do not stretch credulity in their talking points, and they just say things like it is. Okay, because that's part of the problem. Okay,
Yeah.
that's part of the problem. Is sometimes you'll get these people who are backed into the corner, and they gotta tell the truth, and then they'll say stuff like stretches credulity. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, no, lying. You're lying. So I hate you for that. I hate whoever messaged you. Now I can't talk, right? Now I can't have friends.
Yeah, it's fair. You know, I understand.
Winston, was that you?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I don't want to put him out, but you know.
Well, I'm gonna actually. So I'd say, something I am looking forward to. Civil War. I'm looking forward to
Civil War with.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
I want to see it as well. I am a little put off that he is doing the radical centrist thing about it, and he's like, "Listen, there's the multiple sides in the United States, and people just turned it into good and bad, but it's more than that. It's just politics." It's like, man, you suck.
Well, that's
like your funny movie, but you suck.
I think that's just part of the that's part of just getting people spun up for it, you know?
Yeah, I hope so.
Because like there's nothing that'll piss everybody off than a reasoned centrist, right?
Yeah.
And so he starts out with that. Gets Chuds mad, right?
All right,
exactly.
all right.
Yeah. Now we're like,
all right.
Yeah. But no, I mean. I like part of me is just like really wants to see this movie so that I could pretend that the United States isn't actually on the precipice of see Civil War in theaters this weekend. But yeah, I don't know. It like that's where it's like let's just pretend like this is fake, but then also like, you know, what part of this is going to actually play out exactly in the movie, and then we're on like whatever social video, like, oh my god, he was right.
Maybe it'll be bad. That's fine. I just want to see. What it's got to offer. I agree.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, what about you? Other than
secret
messages.
Listen, NATO is holding camps for influence over the next couple of months, so I'm just thinking, me and you. We get some of those NAFO dog profile avatars, Are
we gonna do we get a trip to Europe or
make some good money, Just sit around and talk about what a shame it is that Zelensky doesn't get enough support, and then
Radio Free ManCon.
Finally, we can seek funding. Now we're talking. All right,
that's right.
This is the easiest way, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking. The only thing is better than Zelensky's battlefield leadership is his comedy. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. See,
10 out of 10 guy.
Get it? Yeah.
Yeah, loves liberty and democracy.
I stand beside Sweden and their new entrance into NATO. Yeah.
Polish would look good with some F-35s, don't you think?
Nothing but a force for good. And the best part, us giving them tanks means we're creating more American jobs. So
tons of jobs. Wow. Tons of jobs. Right? And good union jobs. Thanks, Brandon.
Union jobs.
Yeah.
that couldn't
Wow.
be, used to make anything else. Definitely not critical infrastructure or anything like that. So, something to think about.
That's just a bridge to nowhere. Or it could be a bridge from one side of Baltimore to the other that could necessarily be built. But hey, listen, the tanks.
Yeah, they're important.
Pretty important.
People need those.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll be back next week, continuing to improve, little by little, this thing gets even shinier and nicer.
And that's if you're listening on the podcast audio version only, like let us know how good the new set feels, right? We have new setup,
you can hear it. You can hear how nice it looks now.
So just, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, let us know how good the look feels in your ears.
That's right. You're going to love the look you're in.
I guarantee it.
See y'all next week.
Peace.